We unlearn to learn. This is where we rethink, debate, and learn. Welcome to Omondi TV. Hello guys. Welcome to another classic episode of Omondi TV. Guys, you know the slogan: rethink, debate, and learn. So today, guys, this is episode 5. Episode 5. I told you here we'll bring you content back to back. Thanks so much for the love so far. Please, guys, continue subscribing, continue liking, continue sharing, guys. We grow together, guys. I'm here to bring you nothing but exclusive content. So today, guys, before we start, we have our brainstormer of the week. The house of a horse is never stable. The house of a horse is never stable. Imepita wengi, but it's okay, guys. So, guys, never mind. Today, we have a very interesting topic with 2 incredible visitors. This one, guys, this one is hot. You are not supposed to miss this. Guys. We are going to talk on something affecting us as Kenyans and affecting us as youths. So, guys, today's topic is this. Is Kenya's education system the cause of unemployment? Is Kenya's education system the cause of unemployment? That's our topic subject to debate, guys. Everyone has his own views. And today, guys, we have 2 different visitors here. We'll have their own views on this whole thing. Hope, guys, you enjoy and ready for this crunchy episode. So today, guys, you know the topic. We have 2 incredible visitors. On my right side, hey, a very hot person in terms of ideas and ideologies. He has different perspective, guys. He's here to rethink, to debate, and to learn. But above all, we share what we have here. So, guys, none other than Emmanuel himself. Emmanuel,
yes.
Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
You're flashy.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You are here to rethink, debate, learn, and to question what you know.
Yes.
Welcome, man. On this other side, sorry guys. On this other side, none other than he was here before and is here again. He has a lot to share with us also, guys. Hope you are ready. None other than Eddie himself.
David, bro.
Uko aje, man?
I'm good.
You're back again.
Yeah, back again.
Back again to
your
question.
Stay away from this.
We will chase him away. How dare him say he cannot sit away from this show? Anyway, welcome, man. And so today, guys, before wasting time, I'll start with you, Emmanuel.
Yes.
A lot is happening in the country. We are seeing a lot of things happening. And there's this debate of our education system and employment.
Exactly.
First, how do you see our education system? What can you say about it?
What I can say about the education system, one, what the direction that the education department has taken to introduce CBC, I think it's well. But the education system, the former one, it was not that competitive. But I think where the education sector is taking the direction, it's now okay.
We'll be back there. You have said it was not competitive.
By then.
We'll be back there. Eddie, also maybe you have a different perspective or something to add on what Manus has said. He has said the former education system was not competitive. He's going to give us the reason. How do you say our education system? Is it something that is helping us as Kenyans or is it dragging us back? How do you view it?
Okay, from my point of view, I think the education system has its own time and the previous education system, as Manu was saying, is not competitive in the current world. But at the time that it was being introduced and at the time it was being implemented, the idea was quite different from what our current world is undergoing. So I think it had its time and it had its purpose. But now that the world has changed, I think the government has noted that and probably the introduction of the CBC system.
Do you think it achieved its purpose?
At the time, it did, but I think we dwelled on the. Okay, let me just go back. So previously, maybe when we gained our independence as a nation, and at that time, maybe the introduction of the education system, it was more or less training people how to work for the various opportunities that were present at that time. Maybe if there were schools that were starting up, because maybe our country uh, was not was not really an entrepreneurial country. It was more of a system that was brought to us. So what I mean is the 844 system, it was not introduced by us as a people. It was brought to us by the colonizers. So they were actually training us on the fields that were present. Maybe there were schools, they were training teachers, there were hospitals, they were training doctors and nurses. There were other institutions, and they were training people to go and work for those institutions. So at that time, maybe we did not have the workforce, and the education system was providing our country with those skills and equipping people to work in those sectors. But we continue to dwell on that point, on that education system, even when the world was starting to change. So I think that is why it failed. But for that time, it achieved its purpose. Yeah.
Manu,
Yes.
or Emmanuel, you said that the former education system was never competitive. When you say was never competitive, yet we have people who have tried with that education system and then.
Exactly.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean, compared to the current education system, by the current education system, I mean CBC. So if you try and compare the two, CBC is more productive as compared to the 844 system. So in such a way, in such a way that CBC provides the practical aspect of the education, and 844 majorly dwells on the theoretical part of it. So you find that when the way the government is advocating for self-employment and all that, so CBC will be giving now the students and the youths the way now through to the practical aspect of it. So you find that after you have been trained, after you have gone through the system, now you'll be able to depend on yourself. You'll not be able to depend on, you see, 844, you are provided opportunities from some, like the way it is, they say that industry, for you to be like a doctor, you must be a doctor in some hospital. But CBC, you see, you can be a hairdresser, or you can do something that maybe agriculture. You have to just find a place that you do it on your own without relying or depending on someone. So I think the former education system has really failed us, and that is why we have so many graduates who are unemployed, as compared to how we relate to the way CBC will now produce the youths who are coming. Yeah. So
okay, there's this complaining part of the parents. Some of the parents and some of the people, when CBC came, there are complaints about it. Some say it's expensive, some say teachers are using it to harm parents. What can you say about that? Can you say it's just because it's starting, because there's the aspect part of it is expensive? So do you see it as something that in the long run will benefit Kenyans? And because there's this aspect, people are complaining, it's just the same Kenyan. Yes, a different education system, but the fact remains it's the same Kenya. Where will these jobless graduates who finish 844 go? Do you think this CBC part, if you are ignoring the 844 system and ignoring those graduates and bringing another one, don't you see something like we are adding bulk into something that is already there? What do you think?
So according to my thought, what should happen is that the government, through the education sector or the education ministry, should devise a way so that these graduates find somewhere to go. They should, maybe they impact something on them, they bring some training on them, like I think you've heard of the Ajira thing. So like they find a way, they devise a way, they sit down and they find a way that how can we deal with this bunch of graduates? Because the CBC, you see, the CBC people, the CBC youths will rely on themselves. When after they have been trained, they will rely on themselves. But again, I come back to your point on the way Kenyans are complaining, CBC or C. You see, if change comes, obviously, everyone, you will feel, if something, this thing you always used to eat this way, now it has changed, obviously everyone will start to complain. You see, people don't like change, but the better part of it is that after some times Kenyan will be used to it. You see, CBC was brought because it worked somewhere else. So if it worked for them, why can't it work for us? But me, practically, and I think with my thoughts, that CBC will work out for Kenyans, and it will be a really good one.
Okay.
Yes.
Back to Eddie. There's this aspect of Kenyans. There's a rate of unemployment, and this covers the most part of our discussion. What do you think about your education system and employment in Kenya? There are those people who never went to school, yet they're very successful outside here. There are those ones who are going to school, they're not successful, there are no jobs. Can you say that the rate of poverty is because of our education system, or is it because of we Kenyans ourselves? Are we lazy? Are we doing something wrong? Or is it education system that made us this way? What do you think?
Okay, first of all, I can't say that that Kenyans are lazy or some, because Kenyans are some of the most like entrepreneurial people you can see even in Africa. So, okay, there's a point of education being somehow of a barrier in a way. Okay, I don't mean that if you're not educated that you're better off than someone who is educated, because education, what it is, it brings the way that it actually makes a literate person is able to think on a outside the box, like wider, as compared to someone who is not literate. I mean, when you studied history or a certain subject in school, it opened your mind to understand that there are other cultures, there are other people, and this is what they think. And also, when we learned different languages in Kenya, people know how to speak Kiswahili, they know how to speak English and their mother tongue. So we are more or less trilingual, not even bilingual. Like, we have 3 languages under our belts, which means we are competitive even outside our country. So education is not that it makes people, it dulls people, it actually brightens people. But what aspects of education are we focusing on? So the 844 system was mainly focusing on the theoretical part of it. So it was actually just training us on how to be literate and how to read and write, but it was not training on how to use those basic skills to apply in the workforce or in employment. So it was more or less giving us the literacy, but not the skills that can be applied for a particular career or profession. So to bring this point home, I'm saying that it is not the fault of education that people are okay. It might be that they don't have the practical skills. Have you ever let me give you a simple example. When you're writing your CV, and the employer has seen your CV, which is the part that you focus on?
I have a
When the employer has received your CV, which part will he focus on? Will he focus on your education background or work experience?
Work experience.
Yeah, the work experience.
Yeah.
So this work experience, where will you gain the work experience? If you just graduated from school, how can you gain it? You can't gain it on your own. So you can say that what is needed in the competitive career choices and such is the experience and the practical knowledge on how to work in a certain area or field. So are we lacking that in Kenya? I would say that we are lacking because we don't have the mentorship or the people who are training youths to work. They're only training people how to be literate, but they're not training them on the practical skills of work. So it is the double-edged, the sword of education. It is either failing us or it is not sufficient for this developing world, which I think is the latter. Like, the education system is not sufficient. It is not enough for someone to be skilled enough to go and work for someone. Yeah.
Okay, so Eddie, from what you have said, don't you think someone might say you'll be too unfair when you say the former 844 was more of a theory, because someone might argue there are those great doctors, great lawyers, great pathologists who made it to the 844. Don't you think someone will say you are being unfair when you say it was more of a theory, yet there are people who made it with them? Don't you think?
Okay, it is not that that everyone who went through the education system 844 became a failure. It is that in our current world, at the rate of which the world is moving, it is becoming outdated. So I would give an example. For me, I studied biomedical engineering in school, but we never really did the practical aspect of it. So biomedical engineering is basically you are going to repair, maybe install machines, but you're only learning the theory part. We never went to a field and we were given this is a machine. Now you can install it, you can repair it. So how is this? How am I supposed now when I graduate to go and now repair a machine? Yet I've never dealt with it. So it is outdated in that form that it is only giving us the theoretical knowledge, which is actually right now as technology is moving. If you want to learn anything, you can even go online. You can go on YouTube. You can use ChatGPT. You can. Theory is everywhere, but what about the practical aspect of it? The schools, they are not investing in maybe purchasing laboratory equipments so that the students can go through and get a hands-on training. So it is outdated, yes, but there are those people who, when they went through the system, probably in their field, they were exposed to the practical aspect. Like doctors, they have to go through year of residency where they have to face the patients and they have to work with and they have to work directly in the environment, in a setup of like a practical institution that is actually providing the skills. So it failed in some aspects, but it also succeeded in some aspects. So it's not like totally useless, but it is outdated. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so Manu, there is this question that comes that seems like an ironical question. Like currently, Kenya's education system is ranked around the seventh position, and when you see this list, you find that there are some countries like Egypt where Kenya is even at education system. Kenya is far much ahead than them. But when you go there economically and you just look on the job market, they're far ahead of us. So what do you think about this? Why is it that our education system is ranked higher, yet we have the highest rate of unemployment, yet there are some countries which we have surpassed in terms of education system, yet they are higher in terms of employment than us? What can you say about that?
Okay, so firstly, we need to your audience. Kenya is ranked 7th in Africa, not global.
Oh yeah.
So Kenya is ranked 7th in Africa in terms of education. You see, one thing about Egypt, they have measured so much on the practical part of education. You see this thing called apprenticeship, where knowledge, like you learn the practical bit of it. So Kenya, like we've seen, yes, 844 had its drawbacks, but 844 also has it's a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. But you see, we should measure, like the way CBC now brings it, measure on the practical part of it. That is where now you find that some countries are thriving compared to some other countries. Yes, their education is better, but they are thriving because they are measured on the practical aspect of it.
Oh wow. Exactly. Manu, from your own experience, by the Manu, he has done different kind of jobs. He'll be telling us with us. You have done different kinds of jobs, and for you to speak like this, it means that you have experiences on this. First, what did you study?
Okay, so me, I studied building construction.
But what do you do currently?
Currently, I do so many things.
So leave alone that. So what you studied, are you practicing what you studied right now?
Mentally, if we can say that what I studied is among the least thing that I practice, because I studied building technology. and I did diploma in building technology. But if you find majorly like right now amongst the top list of the things that I'm acting, like I'm in theater. So that is the
Is it
major
because
source
of is it
income.
because of passion, or is it because there are no jobs in building technology?
So there are jobs in building technology, but you see, number one, passion. You see, passion has led me to theater, and theater brings. You see, when money, there is exchange of money. Theater is one of the things that is bringing me more money as compared to those all list of the things I mentioned that I work on.
Do you regret
Yeah.
undertaking 844?
I don't regret.
If you had a chance at that particular time, you are already done with 844 for now. At that time, if you had a chance of doing away with 844 and doing something else, would you have done away with it?
Exactly. Because if you can see, right now, if I would have started practice, see, building is my passion, yes. But the reason why I'm not in the reason why it's amongst the last in my list of the things that I'm doing currently is because yes, I've practiced it. But you see, one thing I bring later on in the talk, I bring something like I studied. There are some things I used to study in
You can just bring them up.
Okay, so like I used to in building technology, there is this unit called technical drawing. So technical drawing is the aspect of drawing a house, just generally drawing a house. You see, in college, you are taught how to draw it on paper. You take a ruler and T square and all that, and you draw it. It is even examinable in the neck. But if you come outside here, in the outside world, in the competitive world now, you find that it is now being drawn in ArchiCAD. So the knowledge that you came with from college, you see, if it is even it is administered in neck. So neck brings it, but outside there you will find ArchiCAD. So when you are done with that, you now come again outside there and you start practicing another one. So you see, college, you have just finished this is when you have come. But if I would have been told to choose between 844 and other system, I think I will choose other system, because now I would have majored on building. I would have studied widely. I would have known ArchiCAD widely. Yes, I know it, but I've known it late compared to the previous time.
Okay.
Yes.
So Eddie, what about you? As 844, you undertook 844.
Yes.
Is the as 844? Can you say what you are doing now is as a result of 844, or is it as a result of just your own meandering in life? What can you say about it?
Career-wise,
Yeah.
I will not attribute that much towards 844 as being the block that put me there. But in other aspects of my life, I would say being literate and also being able to be an open-minded person, to see aspects that I like. The theory part of it, yes, it is outdated, but it is making you look at things at a different perspective. So, like, I would ask you, many people, they put this, it's a joke or a meme that they usually put, like, since this day I've never used the cosine. in my life.
They lose the persona.
Yeah, like, you never used that. But what is the benefit of math? Math is a challenging subject that is training your mind to think and to it's a challenge. Like you have to think, you have to solve this problem, you have to. So that aspect of it, the education has helped me to be bold and to open my mind towards many things. But for the practical aspect, I would say that what I have learned outside, actually when I graduated from biomedical engineering, I never stepped a foot in a place where I'm working as a biomedical engineer. I was taken into what do you call apprenticeship by someone who was a dental technologist, but actually he was a foreigner because he never learned. In Kenya, there's this field called dental technology, where you produce artificial teeth and appliances and such. But in Kenya, we don't have the practical school that is teaching people how to do that. So you find that dental labs, they are owned by foreigners, Indians, Koreans and such. And so I found myself in an apprenticeship position where I was being trained by someone who is a foreigner from another country on how to practically do this job, and which is something that I never went to school to. So in my journey, I've seen other people who are coming from school who have already graduated with the degree or even the diploma, and they're coming into the field. Now they are stuck because they see things that they have never seen in textbooks. Because you see that the textbooks, you can, even if you check the publishing dates, you can find that some textbooks, maybe they were first written in 1940 something, and that is the same. They are just giving us new editions,
New edition
like
of
the
the
new
same
edition.
textbook.
But this content was produced in those
19.
in the 90s. But what we have now, the technology that we have right now,
Totally different.
is totally different, like completely different. So actually, most people when they graduate, they are learning through YouTube and tutorials on how to do their jobs, and they now they neglect everything that they went to school because it is now useless. It was just they wasted like 4 years of their time reading outdated information. So I think that is the only benefit education has. It makes you literate, but
Okay.
practically
Do you
doesn't
think
equip you.
844 became outdated because the world is changing, the world is being dynamic, or did it fail because it was meant to create employers rather than employees? What do you think? Why did it get outdated? When you say outdated, and you are saying because the world is adapting into new techniques. Can you say this aspect, like some people might argue, maybe because it was meant to create employees rather than employers? What's your take on that?
Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting question because if you can see, when you're talking about a system like the education system, it's not only about the content, but how is it the schools are run. So when we went to high school, there was this time you had to wake up at this time, and then there was a bell to go for maybe tea. There's a bell to go for break. There was a bell to go back to class. So that whole system was training people who can be obedient to certain authorities and bells, and so it was actually training people to be like maybe you can say factory workers or employees, not entrepreneurs, not people who can think for themselves and who can come up with their own ideas and to start businesses.
By the way, before we proceed, were you ever taught how to become a boss in school?
Never. The boss was the teacher, so you had to obey the teacher. So if you don't obey the teacher, you get punished. So it is actually training your mind that you have to obey authority and you have to learn how to be under someone, not to be a leader, not just to be someone who is below someone. Yeah.
I can remember I can remember being taught in high school how to write a CV, how to apply for a job. I can remember such a thing. So maybe. So I understand your point. Back to you, Manu.
Yes.
What can you say about the current state of the unemployed youths? There is this aspect. I really wanted to ask you. You have done different kind of jobs. There is this kazi ni kazi thing. Bora kazi rather than kazi bora. Do you think is there when you study something in when you graduate in something and you don't get a job, should a person just work because there is no job, or because there's this aspect? People normally say don't choose a job. But do you think, is it right? You have gone to university 4 years, you went to high school 4 years, you went to all that shit, all that shit thing. Then you're being told just you should not choose a job. What's your take on that? Should a person just work because you have done different jobs? Should a person just work, or a person needs something? You should work for something. What's your take on that?
Okay, my take on that is like this. You see, you should you just follow your passion. But just follow your passion, and at the end of it all, you see, it depends on what you want. Somebody, maybe you are going after the money, you need to make ends meet, you need to survive, there's some way. So if you need to survive, you need to make ends meet, you can just do anything. But as you do it, you also do it to enforce others. For instance, I've worked in catering. Catering is a very technical field where you work in the funeral, you work in events, you work in ceremony. you work in all places where these food industry. So you find that you do some serious manual labor, but it is not because you want it. So you can find a way that you can channel. You find the funds there. I read one time that if you want to do something, for instance, let's say I want to achieve something in a certain field, but currently I cannot achieve it. So what will I do? I will work towards it, then I will get to it. For if you need, let's say you need some money, you need 5,000 shillings to start your own business. You have done, maybe let's say I took agriculture in college, so I want to start investing in it. You are told that you need to find some way, sources of funds, loans, and all that. So if that is a way of finding a source, so that you invest in what you know, it can also work. But it all depends on you. You see, there are some risk takers who just after they have graduated, they just go for what they studied. But at the end of it all, they will maybe achieve, maybe not achieve. So it just depends on where you are and your point.
So Manu, let me ask you this.
Yes.
You have done different kinds of jobs. And there is this aspect of specialization and doing a lot of jobs, different kinds of jobs.
Yes.
There is the important part of specialization, as I understand.
Yes.
And there is also the disadvantage in it. There is also importance of doing these different kinds of jobs. But again, there are disadvantages. Being for the factor that you have done different kinds of jobs, what's your take on specialization and doing different kinds of jobs?
Okay, so you see, if you specialize in something, it's very good. I also support it, that you can specialize in something and you know vast on it, that you can know about. Let's say for me, I know on construction, I've specialized in construction. I know nitty-gritties and all the details. But the only bit of specialization that is now making things to be hard is that, let's say I've specialized in construction, and then I come out out in the industry. Now you find that I don't have this job on. I've not found a job in construction. So what will I do? The only thing that now I advocate for is that you specialize, you diverse in so many things. For instance, let's say like me, I work in catering, that is hospitality. I work in film and photography. I work in theater, that the major source of income, acting. So like I work in I work in tech, I work in cybersecurity. So you see so many. Yes, so like that everything. I've worked in garage everywhere. So like if you see, when you know so many bits of stuff, you maybe, let's say I once read some book that if you can earn, let's say if there is an income which gives you 1,000 shillings, yes, if you have let's say something gives you 1,000 shillings, then you want to get 10,000. How will you get 10,000? What will you do? What you will do is you'll diversify. If I have this job, like let's say catering gives me 1,000 bob and I want 10,000. You see, I work in theater, I do film, So if all these bring 1,000 and there are 10 side hustles, as it's always placed as 10 side hustles, I will have these 10,000 that I need. If I have this 10,000 and I wanted to specialize in something, you see, I'll put the funds in that thing. So you diversify. And you see, like, example is that, like, these billionaires and these tech guys, they diversify in so many things. You see, like, you can find some billionaire, he has placed some fund, or he has invested in like, let's say real estate, like everyone investing. He has invested in health. I'll bring an example of Elon Musk. You see, Elon Musk has invested in Tesla, has invested in SpaceX. So he has diversified so much. He has not specialized in one thing. Yes, he has specialized, yes, but he has not. You see, like, even he bought Twitter, and I think you've heard of the thread stuff. So like, he has diversify in so many stuff, and all those are sources of income, but you can specialize. So that's
in fact what you are saying. There's a book, I know, a common book written by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. He says that you should do little in a lot, but do not do a lot in one or in a little. So yeah, that's a good point of view. Eddie, you told us that you once worked for a foreigner. in fact you are trained and you work for a foreigner, that's a fact.
Yeah.
From your own experience, you have worked also for Kenyans and with Kenyans.
Yeah.
What can you say is the difference? What's the difference between those people and Kenyans as far as employment is concerned? What can you say you learned from this, and it's a different thing from the way we Kenyans do our things as far as employment is concerned?
So I would say the biggest difference is actually the mindset that this person has as compared to how us as Kenyans we come out of school. Because when we come out of school as Kenyans, we are out. What we have been trained on is mainly the theoretical part of education, and we are taught maybe we are not given the practical skills. But what I saw from working with a foreigner is that these people, the education system is focusing on the practical knowledge, and also they are focusing also on the mindset of someone who is a certain profession. So in my case, is a dental technology. In dental technology, what we do is that we manufacture, we produce temporary teeth. Normally we call them crowns. So to produce that kind of product, it doesn't depend on your theory. It doesn't depend on how much you know about this crown according to the textbooks. It depends on your practical skills and your technique, and also your entire mindset, how your whole life is structured. Because when I was being trained on this technology, I was not only trained about how to do this and how to read about it. I was trained how to organize myself, how to look for information, how to run a lab. Like the whole mindset of being a lab technician is what I was being trained on, not just the technique and the aspect. Okay, like time management, how to talk to clients.
Yani Kenyans hawana mindset.
No, okay, I'm not saying Kenyans don't have mindset. Kenyans, what they have, what we are lacking is training, like guidance, mentorship, and apprenticeship. Because when you come out of school, you're expected to start now looking for a job. That is the mind that we are coming out of school. But what do you think of that? If you are just coming to look for jobs and there are no jobs, instead of coming out of school to create opportunities and to create employment and to build a business. So how many people have the mindset to build a business once they graduate, instead of looking for employment, or looking the mindset to look for apprenticeship and mentorship, instead of just looking for a job that has security in terms of like you are a government officer who when you get to that position, now you are secure and you're comfortable. You're not looking to challenge yourself. How can I now become a business person? How can I become a CEO like Elon Musk? How can I invest in risky sectors that I'm not aware of? So that mindset is what we are lacking. Not that we don't have a mindset. It's that our mindset is putting us in a position that have the mindset of an employee, of someone who is working for someone, not someone who can create opportunities or who can risk and invest in different sectors and technologies. So, yeah.
So with all of this, with all of this discussion, what is the way? What should we do? What should we do that we never did better? What's the solution? Give us your parting shot. What do you think?
I think our education system should now focus on training the mind and and training, equipping people with the mindset now to become more than what they were trained. So if you come out of school, instead of just coming to look for a job, you have the mindset now even to create opportunities and also to research. And that if you are equipped with a good mindset, you don't need to go back to school now to learn a particular skill, because you cannot keep updating our textbooks and everything every single day as the world is changing. But this information is everywhere around us on the internet. So if you have a good mindset, you can go on the internet and you can research on something, and you can even become a professional at that something that you do not gain a school certificate at. So the education should train us on how to have this kind of a mindset, to challenge yourself and to look for opportunities outside of your box.
So it's all about the mindset.
Yes.
The way you see it.
Yeah.
Emmanuel,
Yes.
what's the parting shot for you? What do you think? What should we do now? What should we do? What should we change?
Okay, so me, what I think we should change is that first, the government should just pull up its socks, because if you see the if the government pulls up its socks, these the youths or the graduates will have now somewhere or some place to go. You see, so when graduates have some place to go, it's like the way I've been saying, like if you produce something and you don't have anywhere that you dispose it. For instance, example, if you have waste and you don't know where to dispose this waste, you'll be just placing it everywhere. But if you strategize and put down a plan that this waste you'll take it through this, or you will recycle it, or you take it through this process, or you will any way that you will plan for it. So the government should plan a way so that, like, if it's like empowering the youths or empowering the graduates on the ways that they should now do something on themselves. So if the government puts devices away, so let's say for instance the government provides now the funds, like you cannot start a business, you cannot self-employ yourself when you don't have some capital. So this capital, maybe let's say the government structures a way that it provides capital for youths, and you find this money and you'll start this business, and so you'll employ yourself and invest the knowledge that you have in it. So if the government puts strategies that way, now you see all these graduates, all these unemployed graduates will find a place that they can now put their energy and direct their energy on. So basically, just the government should just find out, because you see, when the government provides and devises a way and puts it also in the budget and all that, and so you see, and this corruption thing is now is rid of. So you see, when the government has placed a plan towards it, will really achieve so much. Will achieve so much with unemployed. Everyone will. The GDP of Kenya will grow. Yes.
Wow. Guys, it has been an incredible episode 5, guys. Such a conversation. What a conversation, guys. Hope you are challenging what you know. We are challenging what you know about the education system and employment. How do you see it, guys? How do you see? How are they two relating or are they not relating, guys? Give me your views, what you think about an unemployment and on education sector, guys. Episode 5, another crunchy episode. Such a conversation, guys. What a conversation. It has been Messi. It has been Ronaldo. It has been zote hata Kylian Mbappe, kila mtu. So guys, on to the next episode. Manu, shukran man for coming, bro.
Thank you so much.
Eddie, karibu sana. We are always welcome, guys. You are always welcome. And all my viewers, you are also welcome in this crunchy episode. If you have those ideas, you have something to tell us, you have something you want to question, you have something you want us to rethink on, to debate on, to learn on, we are always here. For the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Adios, guys. On to the next episode. Kaboom.